Morning, welcome to the PlansXpress Software Skills course, Module 4. Today we'll be looking at adding detail to our drawings, such as elevations, dimensioning, notes, and also a quick look at 3D tools as well. Hopefully you have your drawings open from the previous session. We should have our ground floor and first floor. With our 3D available to us there. Now, another useful feature of these levels boxes around our individual stories, not only does it allow us to copy the next one, as we've done previously, and allow us to stack them for the 3D, it also allows us to take elevations and place them on top of each other automatically without having to manually organize everything. And there can be some quirks to this sometimes, so I'll run through it the standard way, and if it does go, nope, I'll show you how you can do it another way. The first thing we need to do is be on the Views and 3D tab. Under the Views and 3D tab, we need to go to the Draw Elevation button. Give that a click. Now, upon clicking Draw Elevation, the command window should say, give wall on which elevation will be based. So the first thing I'm going to do is select a front section of wall. Now, it doesn't matter if I pick the one with the main door in or the one on the protrusion. I'm going to click on that one there with the front door in. And now the next thing Command is going to ask is give observation point for elevation. So I'm going to bring my mouse out just beyond the pink levels box. This means I'm now looking out far enough that I can see the front of the building as well, the front protrusion. I'm going to give that a click there. I'm going to move my mouse and move it far enough in that I can see the top of the bridge. Now this, again, I'm moving up past here. I can even move my mouse over here as it's just going vertical from that point over on the side. All I need to do is just left click, and I've now gone far enough in I can see the highest point in the building. Command window says give left extent point for elevation. So I'm going to move my mouse to the left, click, and then to the right, and then left click again. With those done, you now ask for a reference point. So the reference point is the point it's going to be drawing this elevation from. If I was to click on the bottom right corner of this, you'll see I get a line come away. I'll shift, keep that nice and straight, and then just go left click to place. So create elevation for all levels, yes. And my elevation is created. That's come through just fine. Now I can repeat that process on the rear. So this time I'm going to go to the back of the building. And don't forget, if you've got any questions, please just drop them into the questions box. If you want to see anything repeated or done again, just let me know, and I'll run through it again. So I'm going to click on my elevations tool. I'm going to click on one of the rear walls. Take a viewing point out so that I can see all the building. I do not want to go only so far, because then I would actually miss out on this rear protrusion, the little lean-to. So I'm going to go out far enough that I can see the lean-to. Left click. Come in then far enough again that I can see the highest point of the roof. Left click. And then do my left and right. Now, viewing left and right the other way around actually means kind of going this way and this way. My tool is not showing, so I'm going to left click, right click, and then reference point. Click a corner, and just place. There we go. Now this time there's a little little hiccup that's occurred, and it occurs every time on this one, where upon drawing these sidewalls, the roof line hits the wall line and stops where it needs to actually carry on all the way across. We'll resolve that in a moment when we explode these elevations, so we can then modify them. Now, I've got my two side elevations to do yet as well, but I currently have no room on my page, as I've got my notes over on the side here. What I'll do is I'll do the elevations and place them off to the side, and then we can rejig the page to make everything fit. Now, for the next elevation, I'm going to be doing the left side of the house, if we're facing in the front. So draw elevation, click on the left side wall. Viewing point just out here would be fine. But this time the depth has to be quite far in, as I need to make sure I go far enough in to capture this front protrusion. If I was to stop round about by the stairs, the front protrusion would not appear. I'm going to do it properly first. My lefts and rights. Just place that over there. You'll see how it's captured all those elements. If I was to do that wrong, you'll see how we miss out on a whole section. This also includes as well if I don't go wide enough. If I was to go deep enough, but then not go wide enough to capture that front protrusion, you'll also see now we've got part of the roof, but we are missing out because we didn't go wide enough on that side. So delete that one off there. Now I've got the other side to do, the right side, so I'm going to click Draw Elevation. Click on the wall there. Now this time when I go to my viewing distance, I want to make sure I don't overlap too much with the levels and such next door. So I'm only just come back to the edge of the pink line there. And again, this time depth, I have to make sure I go far enough in to capture the lean-to at the back. There we go, those elements are all captured now. Now, there are other ways we can solve the issue of not having enough space on the page for the elevations. And one of those is to scale them down as well. Take them down to 1 to 100 elevations instead of 1 to 50. We could practice in a moment. But before I do any of that, I want to make sure that my elevations are fixed and any hatching that I need to do is applied. So first thing is to practice exploding an elevation and amending it if there's anything wrong. Now, fortunately, the other elevations have come through just fine. Could fix that one there a little bit, possibly. Sometimes on your elevations, you might have an issue on that section there as well that might need resolving. But a fairly universal one is this one here. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the elevation, and an elevation is created as a symbol. It does make it nice and easy to move around, but it does mean we can't edit the lines within as long as it remains a symbol. So it needs to be highlighted. And if it's the only thing highlighted, the ribbon should change to give you an explode tool. Give that a click. You get a confirmation that the elevation will no longer recalculate. You say yes. And this allows us then to modify these sections. Now, very much like with the line tools we looked at previously, you can just highlight one of these lines, pick up from the blue box, and move it back in line. For us to do this line here, bring that in, place, and that section is resolved. Now, just to kind of go back a step, when it said about you cannot recalculate if you modify, that basically means that if you're still working on your drawing, I'll delete the windows on this one. If I was to be still working on a drawing, I can menu click and go recalculate elevation and have it shown, or have it show the changes that I've made up to that point. I'm going to bring back my windows and then just recalculate again. There we go. So I'll give you a second to modify your elevations as needed. Okay. The next thing we're going to try is hatching on these sections. I'm going to come to the front of my house first and use this one, and we're going to look at different methods of hatching. Now, the hatching tool exists under the Drawing and Annotation tab. For this one, we're going to use the elevation hatch first. Now, the elevation hatch is designed to work directly on elevations, working as a symbol. It would detect the outline of any space that you've selected and go around doors and windows, so the whole area is not hatched indiscriminately. So if I select elevation hatch, the command window will say give hatch point inside a boundary. Now, if I was just to click in the middle of this wall here, it'll ask then for hatch origin point. The hatch origin point means that it can start, say, for a whole brick or whole tile, whatever we're working with. I'm going to click down in this bottom left-hand corner, and then I can choose the style of hatching I wish to apply. Now on page 1, there should be some brick. Brick 1 is the one we're going to be using for this. Now, there's also a size on this that we can apply. Now, I've got 100 selected currently. What I might do is set mine to 200 on that size there, and click OK. See how it goes. $200 actually has worked out well for the top of the windows. But not quite for the bottoms. So if you ever find that you want to redo this, you can always just press undo and try again. Now, I'll also point out that my current drawing layer is block paving, because that's the last thing I drew within this section before. On the 3D, I put some block paving on in the last session. I just want to set my layer to something that might have a more appropriate color scheme, or if not, just put it back to the very top point, which is untitled. That way, then, if I was to redo that hatching, so elevation hatch, this time I'm going to set a 175. And now my elevation has come through as black, as the untitled pen is black by default. Now, handy thing here is that if you place an elevation of hatch down and you want to change its color to be a little bit more suitable for what you're doing, you can always just highlight it, click on the color drop down, and change it to whatever you feel is suitable. Now, remember, having too thick a pen, so like pick this gray 0.7, will end up looking a bit of a mess. So it's very appropriate to pick a thin pen for this. I actually prefer to go for some grey, thin grey pen, as it's not so in your face as a black pen. Though you can go for the thin brown or thin dark red for hatching brick. Now we can practice that elevation hatch on other elements as well. Now, sometimes if you click an area and it says cannot find hatch area, auto hatching won't work like say this one would. You can set it to be drawn manually. I'm going to finish just doing these auto hatches on this one. I'm not a fan of doing hatch all over everything, as you can see there, it looks a little bit too much. When you zoom out, it just becomes a blob. And when you actually print this physically to paper, it can get a little bit too much. So I'm going to show you another method that you can use here as well. And that is using the hatch patterning. Now, hatch patterning has two ways to apply. The first one is if I click hatch patterning, it'll ask me to say what patterning I'm using, and let's say give start point. Now I can just draw and looping back around the window there. The area I want hatched. So I can just do a corner or half section. I can give an indication of what the materials might be without doing the whole lot. Now that there means that if I get the hatch wrong, I have to then delete and then I have to redraw the whole area. So there is another method that I actually prefer to use, and that is to first mark off the area you want to draw using a polyline. So top there, use the polyline under draw, and you can then mark off area that you want defined. If I don't get this perfect, that's fine. As long as I've got enough clicks in there, so click, 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 to give me enough room to move around, and so close that off. So my polylines here aren't going to be perfect. I'm going to move some of these down, some of these up. And also makes it easy to pick up as well. You've got bits hanging out. There we go. Pick that one. Fix that. Now the handy thing about this is that if I can then select that polyline, go to hatch, hatch patterning, select that, give origin point, and hatch that area explicitly. And if I don't like that, I can delete it and use the same hatch tool there then to say I'm doing it with something else, like brick 2. Makes life a little bit easier if you want to try different hatches or different size hatches. To note as well, you can also use things like sand to give a kind of rendered effect on a building. Now you don't want that black line there showing afterwards, so you can always just pick that one up and move it off to the side until you're done. When you know you're done with it. When you're done with it, you can just delete it away. But until then, you can just have your hatch on the page. I am going to do that one now in the brick. Now you can try this with your roof tiles or other resources there as well. It's just worthwhile having a little practice, because you might not even want to use the hatch patterning itself for everything, but it can be useful to show new versus old. You hatch the new part if you're doing an extension, leave the old as unhatched, or just to kind of pull in one of these sections over here now. I could probably use this whole thing. I go hatch, 45-degree pitch, 125. Let's get that on. Explode this a second. Just going to delete these lines out. There we go. Just to give you an idea what I'm just about to try and do. Sometimes when you have a semi-detached building and on one side you need to give the indication of what the hatching is being done, well, by say where the building comes together, you can once you've got an outline of it, and say let's say it's semi-detached right now. Go hatch. There you go, 125 pitch should do, 45-degree angle. draw around that space. Go back to the start. Press C to close that off. You can just use like a hatch patterning to close it off as such. So you can say, oh, okay, that's the bit that's unable to see because it's a semi-detached or something. You won't see the other side, but you won't see that side. So again, an example of that. Now I'm just going to press undo lots so I got all my elevation back. There we go. So any questions so far? No, no questions. Bear me a second. One moment. There we go. You shouldn't have to hear an over enthusiastic washing machine in the background now. Oh, yeah. So we've got some elevations. We've looked at doing some hatching, though some of this is a bit excessive, so we can always delete that off if need be. Just to add a little bit more to this, what we can also do is look at adding some non-estimated symbols to our elevation, just to kind of give an impression of size, scale, and so forth there. If you go to the non-estimated estimated plan symbols, there we go, non-estimated plan symbols, we can see that we've got various items like, say, different types of front doors, back doors, internal doors, patio, French doors, garage doors, and such there. So give us a bit of a, different styles of things we can place on, as well as some door furniture. We've also got different windows you can place on as well. These can take a second to load, as it is loading lots of drawings in the background. That just gives us different designs we can place that are different from the ones we've got on the page. We've also got more wall details we can place that are non-estimated. So just coins, corbels, and go stone and brick. Yes, roof and chimney items, door and window frames as well. But the main things we're going to look at here is what's under the others section. Now there's quite a few electrical and plumbing and items and symbols that we can place that are not linked to the estimated items that we've got under the architectural tab. But there are useful things such as furniture, landscaping items as well, so that we can place these on the page to give whoever is looking at this drawing a sense of scale for this property. For this, we're going to use the landscape drop-down, as we want to put something on the external side of things. And we can scroll down until we get to some trees in elevation. We can drag, scroll down until we find something that is suitable there. There are some family groups there with trees in there as well, which give us a sense of scale, but we're just going to look for a nice, simple tree to place on our drawing to give a sense of scale. Doesn't matter which one you pick. Got large tree, and various different large trees there as well. Now, when you select a tree, you can place it then on a layer of your choice. So you do get to the select layer drop down. If I click on that, fortunately not within very much scrolling distance from Untitled, is tree. So if you just press, wherever you are, if you just press T, it'll take you to near enough that section, and you can just select tree as a layer. If I click OK, I can now place this tree on my drawing. And as a symbol, it will want to be set an orientation, and I hold Shift so it's nice and straight. And the tree layer comes in as green. Okay, dokes. Now, we can also see about what other landscaping symbols we want to place. Now, if you're doing a design, say especially for say initial plan permission and such there, you will want to scroll down towards the bottom, as here you will find various north arrows, and also not looking the utmost obvious there, but it's a scale bar under miscellaneous. If I click on scale, put this on the untitled layer, I can have a scale bar placed. Now I'm actually just going to put this off up the top there for a second. Hold Shift so it's nice and straight, as I don't need all of this scale bar. This scale bar is a bit excessive. I'm probably going to need like 5 or even 10 meters at most of this. Now, while it's still a symbol, there's one thing I very much want to check. While it's selected, I want to look into the ribbon where it says symbol and make sure the X and Y scale both explicitly say 1. If they say anything else, then our scale bar will not be correct or accurate. Now, this can occur if previously you'd had something highlighted and scaled it, and it had changed size. And we can actually see this in a moment. I'm actually going to scale our elevations so they fit a little bit better. And you'll see the effect when we put another scale bar on. So first thing I'm going to do now is explode this symbol. I'm going to highlight just the end of this there well and delete that off. Where it says scale. Now I can keep that as 5 meters with a 10-meter section, or I can just delete off the 10 there as well. I'm going to highlight that, pick it up, and just move it onto my page where it'll fit nicely. Now, moving on from this, this is where I have the issue now of being able to fit my elevations onto my page. Now, if I didn't have this text boxes on the side here, I could probably fit them all on quite easily. But I do want to have some information on there, like say what my company is. So just going beyond what the normal session parameters are, I'm going to show you how we can scale this. Now I'm going to start with one elevation first. Okay, you can do all in one go, but I like to do them one at a time. If I highlight one of these elevations, there is a trick where you can use the XY scales. If I go 0.5, and it'll scale that down to half the size. Now that's at 1 to 100, but that cannot always work when you've got hatching. Do the hatching on its own. You can do the elevation on its own. But you can't do whole groups of items. So if I highlight, let's say this tree and this rear elevation at the same time, you'll see there I cannot use the XY. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Modify and Selection tab. I'm going to click the Scale button under Modify and Selection. So there's just next to the copy. And then it asks me for a reference point. So I'm going to click one end of the house, second reference point, other end of the house. And you'll see there now that in the bottom right hand of the screen, it says 1. If I move my mouse out here, 2, 3, 4, so scaling up by a factor of, factor of 4, factor of 3, factor of 2. But I can't go the other way. Won't go to 0.5. But if I click in there, in that box, press backspace and type in 0.5, I can manually scale this down. You'll see the preview of it down to 0.5. And I can repeat this. And on the second one to do it, it's remember the 0.5 typed from before. So I can just scale that down. Do the same here. And that's scaled down. Now I have 4 elevations at 1 to 100 because it's half of 1 to 50. I can then move around and reorganize as I see fit, whatever order I want to have them in. Now, one thing I want to do as well is keep this nice and tidy. So I'm going to use drawing annotation and a horizontal construction line to place a line down. Now you'll notice that the line there is on the very bottom edge, but the insertion point for all of these is actually on the 0 point there. And that one's not a symbol anymore. So for all of these, to move them into their places, I'm going to highlight and use the Move tool under Modify and Selection to pick up the corners and line them up. There you go, I can delete that construction line. So now they're all nice and tidy and lined up. This presents to me now another problem. I need a scale bar to indicate that this is a different scale. And also, you notice there, as I zoom out, some of the hatching here looks a bit really small because I've scaled it right down to suit. It's a bit much. So that might be why sometimes you might not want to have all the hatching on there, especially when you go really small elevations. Now, a solution to that is to actually have your elevations on a separate page. You can just create a new drawing. So you can copy your elevations. Control C or copy up there. Go to a new drawing page and just paste them on. You can have elevations on a separate page altogether. And now I'm going to grab another scale bar just for this 1 to 100 section down here now. So I'm going to go to my non-estimated plan symbols. I'm going to go to my landscape, grab my scale bar again, untitled layer, that's fine. Click on this. You see that now, if I click on that, it's actually very weirdly, it's not quite sure where to put this, because I've got scalar x is 1, y is 0.5. I'll put that as 1 there. You see how it matches that. But it had, remember, the 0.5 from the previous one. which is a bit weird. If I go 0.5 on this one now, that matches the scale of these items here. Though the text itself may have an issue because now the text is all squished. With that in mind, I'm just going to explode that, delete these bits off. Highlight those and go set. Just to actually run through that again because I'm not explaining myself very clearly there. I've placed my scale bar back on, and if my scale bar had remembered the scaling from the drawings below and hadn't gone a bit weird, would come in looking like this. Now that looks like a normal functioning scale bar, and it would actually be matching the scale of these items here. As you'll see there, it would come in and it would remember the 0.5 scaling. For some reason mine did it a little bit weird, but that's fine. If it does come in that way, all you need to do is highlight, click explode. So now it becomes a standard set of lines again. Delete the bits you don't need. And we've got a scale bar that matches up there. Now, if you want to, you can always set the text back to match the height of the previous ones. So that'd be 300. So scale in meters is that one there. Though it might be best to leave it as the 1 to 50 or the 150 text. So it looks nice and tidy. Sort of too cramped. Now with that there as well, what I can do, so if I go to my drawing annotation, I grab a rectangle from my drawing annotation, the drawing section. I can draw a box around these sections here to show that it's its own separate bit. The scale for this is the scale for these elements within here. So just keeping it a little bit separate. Now with my elevations done, I'm going to go File, Save, Save As, and call this 15. Okay, what's that? Is that my... Oh, I'll have to solve that in a moment. 1 second. Okay, it's behaving itself now. So I just had to move my drawing to another page I was working on had a random line drawn as 0 length. Okie dokie, now that is saved as a number 15. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start adding some dimensioning lines to our drawing, and then we'll move on to some notes. Now before adding the dimension lines onto this, one thing I've noted first is that my drawing, being as close to the top there as it is, leaves me very little space along the top to put in the dimensioning lines. So I'm going to take these, I'm going to highlight them both at the same time, use the modifying selection tool, move, and move these down enough distance so that then I've got room above and below for notes and dimensioning. Okay, with that done, what I'm going to do now is going to move on to the Draw an Annotation tab, as that's where my linear dimension tool is. But there is another tool that we can use when dimensioning, and that is, refresh it to finish those walls, clicking on a wall itself, using a menu click, and on the menu click there is a dimension button. This allows us to pull out a line of dimensions now. To keep mine nice and tidy, what I've done, if I dimension this one here as well, I've actually placed it so it's actually hovering directly over the pink line. There you go, so it's not conflicting. Though I will make sure this pink line is hidden for my print previews. And to see that again, I'm going to highlight a wall, menu click, dimension, and pull this out. Highlight a wall, menu click, dimension, pull it out. You can do it on single little ones like that as well. Now you can, if you want to, you can use the linear dimension, do the whole lot in one go. If you really want to go at it with everything showing. Now this one got a door in it, so this is a pretty good one to use the dimension tool on. So we can start adding dimensions to our drawing to kind of indicate as well, depending on what level of information we need for the drawing as well, what is the purpose of the drawing. Some could be just plan information, so you don't need to have that level of information. Other ones, you might be having sets of drawings sent out to the ground workers so they know where the foundations need to be built. Other ones, the brickies, so they know where everything needs to go, say all the doors and windows, and so forth there as well. In which case, if it's doing to the brickies, you can have all or some of the internal sections marked out. And they might be able to see that that one runs off that wall there, but they might still need to see that the distancing of some of these sections needs to be marked out. Now, one tip with this as well, if you are marking out internals like this, aesthetically, it looks nice to keep them all in line as possible. So it just looks nice. And also try and avoid objects such as doors and windows. So if you do overlap, like say if I was to do this one here now, you can end up having lines on top of lines and it all ends up being a little bit more confusing. If you can't have them in line because it'd be too much complication, just make sure there's enough difference between the two that it's obvious or easy to spot that they're different. Now you don't have to go to the extent of having all this marked out as much detail as this. This is just the example I'm giving. Now, if you do feel that your wikis also would benefit from having all of the information, then crack on. Now, this would be another actually good example here if I place this one there, because I can have it near the stairs, but if I place it right here, could get it so that number lands in the doorway, or I can actually pick up the number individually and have it off to the side as well. So I can move the number around as well, so if I don't have things landing on top of each other. It can get a little bit busy if they are all on top of each other there. Yeah, you're going a little bit crazy with the dimensioning, but still, gets the point across. Now we're not going to bother dimensioning the upstairs, though you can do so if you want the practice. But it does give us the opportunity to work all that one out. Now again, you don't need to have, there's like 1050 down here. I've added that on as an additional to this. You can see the sides on this now should still be the same. We've got 850 down here, which will indicate the length for the building. So we don't need to have the down upstairs ones marked out. All the dimensioning for the externals upstairs will be the ones same as the ones downstairs. And since we free drew these walls upstairs, may these actually be the same sizes as downstairs. Though some of them won't have any markings. There we go. We can just do like the ones that maybe don't have corresponding ones downstairs. You can see with these walls here, all matching downstairs. So the marking's actually kind of on there already. Now, before I go crazy and add too much onto there, what I'm looking to do is also add some labels. I'll give you a moment there just to note up whatever you want to add on there, but remember it's just using the linear dimension tool to just draw 2 lines. A little trick with this as well, just to kind of highlight this with the linear dimension, is if I click that point there and that point there on this roof, it wants to measure the horizontal or verticals. To get it to measure on the angle, you have to pull it out at the angle that you're trying to match far enough away that it snaps to measuring on that degree. You can then place that and then just bring it in close once it's done. You won't be able to get it to measure an angle being close to begin with. You have to pull it out far enough away, place, and then bring it in to get that to work. Okay, just let you know that now. If you want to measure something on an angle, that's how you got to go about doing it. While you're doing that, I'm going to save this and go save as 16. There we go. Okay, now we're going to move on now to adding some labels onto this. Now, labels can be found as a quick shortcut. If you go to the Views in 3D tab, there's a notes picker that we can enable with a tick box. Now, the notes picker normally exists over on the right-hand side as well as one of the default ones that are there. If you haven't hidden it yet, it'll still be available as one of the options. But with the notes picker, basically, it just gives us a list of items that we can then just double click on to place on the drawing. If I was to double click on Hall, I can place Hall on the page. I can do this for things such as kitchen, family rooms, and so forth there. It's all alphabetical order, so we should be able to find the items we need to place them on. So we can place kitchen. We go to D, let's go dining room, double click that, and place. I go to family room, put that one in there. So it could be lounge. If you don't have say, I'm going to put lounge in there instead. Get that one. If you don't have the exact terminology for this one, the nice thing is these are all just text boxes, so you can rename them whatever you like, or just use the text tool under drawing annotation there to say living room and get rid of lounge. So you're not locked in, it's just a bit of a shortcut just to fill in some spaces there as well. So we'll have WC, place WC in there. No, this again, if you've got lots of text on there and then lots of dimensioning, it can get a bit too much. So this is where you choose what you want to be portraying on your drawing. And again, you can do a save as and then have different levels of information. So some drawings with all the dimensioning, some drawings portraying all of this. Bedroom 2, bedroom 3, and bedroom 4. Bathroom 1 there. Landing. So we can just annotate the drawing. Now, on some of these as well, you'll also find options for the elevations and also the descriptions of what we want to be using here. Now we have, if I just spot that one first, first floor layout or first floor plan. If I go layout, place that one there. I can place ground floor layout on that one. Now again, I could make these much larger. I can highlight them. So just click on them, make the text on them much bigger. So I could go 450 on these. Have much larger text on there. Rejig them just to place them there. And it might be that I don't want the layout on there. I could actually just remove the layout so it just says first floor, ground floor. There we go. Little top tip on here as well is if you use a construction line on one of these texts there, you can make sure that your text are both in line, which is one of the little things that visually you pick up with the eye if things aren't in line. But we can do the same thing down here with the elevations. Now, I've actually remembered the text size on this, so I'm going to actually make that down to 250. I'm going to find L. Nothing for left or side. So we've got side elevation. Might edit that and say left side elevation. And again, it could be south side elevation, north side elevation, however you want to be naming these, whatever's appropriate and what will fit. And with all that there done as well, I'm going to pick a horizontal line so I can just line these up. Delete that construction line, and all nice and tidy and in line there as well. Give you a second to place those last few notes on. And again, you can always just use the text box to place on something bespoke that you want to. If you want the text smaller or bigger, you can just highlight text by clicking on it, changing the height, which will be its scale. Now, also another thing you can do, if you find that you are placing something in a room and you might not have enough space for that. Now I'm going to use bedroom 2 here as an example. It could be that you might want to use the rotation there as well. So if I set the rotation on this as 45, you can have it on an angle. No, 90 will be that way. If I set that as say 270, it go the other way. So I can have things noting to on natural kind of like angle to match things. However you want to go about doing that. Just a useful one to know. You can also change in here as well your font for this if you really want to. Go for something like a space 1999 on there. And depend on how you want the drawing to feel. The old classic over-inked typewriter. So if you do have like a typeface that your company uses mainly, something like Franklin Gothic, something like that, you can keep it consistent. We'll be in the default there, so. And of course, strike throughs, underscores, italics, and bold. Okay, no other questions coming through? Alright, well, we're flying through this bit then. What I'll do then, if we are going through this at the rate we are, I'm going to probably make this a lot busier now. I can even actually open up a previous version of this drawing. I could even go back to open up, is it 14? No, not 14, 15. Oh, there we go. On this one, we need to just save this one as 17. That's what we've got to do first. Save as 17. There we go. And it'll be drawing 15, that one I open up if I want to just show you something else. So you can do it, continue doing it on this one, and you can delete out these bits if you want to as well. But I'm just going to go back to a previous drawing, and this is one of the reasons why it's always useful to be saving your drawings as you go along. That's a bit. There we go. So, because you can always go back to a previous version, so this one before the notes and annotations on there, though I still might want to have my front and rears and such there. But just give an example of some of the things you can do with the non-estimated 3D symbols as well. Because you might have a drawing like this that you might be working on for your 3D. Now, I have my 3D open a second. Now, I'd recommend when doing this to have your 3D closed when applying things. So if I go to my non-estimate 3D symbols, I can add on things like, if I go to the ridge roof tiles here, I can go semicircular, confirm ridge tiles types, styles and sizes, and apply that to my drawing. Now I'll point out as well, if you apply these items to your drawing, you will have, you get mono flashing for the back there. Go on that bit. This will affect your elevations as well. If you recreate your elevations, they'll actually have these extra details on them. Grab some dry verge system. Place it on the ends. Notice there as well, I can choose between just doing part one gable line or all the gable lines on the roof. So I've done the main one. If I come down here, I can do that front section. If I go dry verge system, confirm dry verge on all gable lines. I'm leaving it as the default color because it could be that I want to change the color of something in the global textures, which I'll look at in a second. Now, one other thing I can do on this now as well, I can just grab a quick box valley, just lead, drop that in there. Or should I do all valley lines? There we go. So box valleys, and also gutter. Now the guttering, so that's a 0.3 overhang. I'm going to do all lead lines. I'm going to have a half round. Now when I set this, I've got again global roof texture, because even if it's black, if I want white, it's still best to leave it as global, because I can use the global textures to set all my guttering as white in there. And if I hover over a roof section and I hover over the eaves, you'll see there, it then place guttering. Left click to confirm. There we go. And if I do that again, go gutter, say 0.3 overhang. I prefer 0.3 instead of 0.8. I can then do guttering for all of this section of the roof. I do both sides, and you see guttering is placed. And with a 0.3 overhang, it actually merges into each other a bit nicer and tees in. So now I've got guttering around my property. The final thing I'm going to do on this bit is go to my downpipe. Now again, leave it as a round. Distancing is fine. Global roof texture, that's fine. So I'm going to click OK. Now what this allows me to do is place a section of gutter downpipe starting always within the drawn gutter. So I can click here and run that to where I've drawn my downpipe. Now I want to left click to drop that tool, because if I don't, it will keep drawing that on. Is that drawing this there? There we go. Let's go to this side. Gutter. Now I actually could draw this one wrong, so you can see this one live. If I click on here and then click to where I need to go, you'll see it's gone straight. If I second click, it goes back to the point where I've clicked. If I keep clicking, you'll see that it does distance, step, distance, step. So I don't want to keep clicking. I just want to do one section of downpipe. So start, click to where the downpipe is, drop the tool. And since I managed to place an item there, I can go run around. Now, handy thing is, if I've got this starting in here, I can still bring my mouse down to where the downpipe is for the intersection. It'll line it up with it. It still follows my mouse, so I can click and then click to where I want it to go. So it's perfectly in line. That one runs down the back there. I can still do this one on the front, on the little rear roof. So I've got my guttering done. Now, going back to what I stated just now about the colours of this, if I go to my Views in 3D tab, and I go to my Textures button, so Views in 3D Textures, this is where I can control the texture of my doors, roofs, walls, and other bits and bobs. If I go to Roof, you'll see there I've got the roof texture itself, soffit, barge board, fascias, and here I've got gutters and downpipe. And if I go to gutter, and I say shading color, I do a very, very light grey. White might be a bit too in your face. So if I go to white, it's actually harder to make out the detail in some ways. I'll go to the next one down. It's the downpipes. There we go. So slightly different, ever so slightly different colours to the fascias and barge boards. Makes it stand out a little bit better. There we go. Now we've got white downpipes. Oh, I know what I've done wrong. I haven't got floors on this one because this is my copy drawing. Now, again, if I've done these items here, if I go to my draw elevation, I draw an elevation based off this now. I didn't go far enough for the roof. My bad. You'll see that this time now it's included all of those lines for the extra drawn items. That what you'll also find is that if I explode this now, it will require more in the way of editing to fix this, as it's not got all the lines drawn, and we might have to go around doing more in the way of tweaking and editing to resolve any issues with this than before. So you've got the valleys kind of showing in there. It's not kind of seen how it's terminated at the bottom. The guttering does need to continue to be drawn on when fixed. So it can be better to keep it simple when doing the elevations first, and then have the 3D showing all the extra detail. Again, it's down to how much time you want to be putting into your elevations and such when doing all of this. Okay, so that's an example there. Now, actually, I'm going to hold my hand up and say, well, I made a mistake just now as well. When I looked at my 3D, notice I had no floors. This was because I copied this over from another page. But when I copied it over, I didn't have the floors showing. I went back to drawing 14 or something like that. Yeah, I recreated drawing 15, so I didn't have any of the floors showing. What I'm going to do is just going to move this, go back, open up some much older drawing, move that down there, right? Go to my views in 3D, go all items, and that's what I'd left behind on the previous drawing. I left behind the floors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that, go to my house 17, Let's place that in there. There we go. And I can do all I think to set floors and ceilings and go back to what it was. But now if I look on this one, floors are back. Yay, fixed. So sometimes if you ever copy and paste something to another page, you forget to show the floors, you might have to go back to a previous one to go grab it. Are there any questions so far? Is any questions at all? Anything anyone wants to see done again or demonstrated again? I'll point out and say just just keep going for another 5 minutes. So we've got a decent time session. You can use if I actually go to my one I've just been tweaking, 15 something like my 3D, the one I put all these items on like this. I'll show you a neat trick. On the 3D box here, where you can change how you view it, solid colors, textured, wireframe as such there. It could be that you want to have this on the drawing page, what you've done. Now, before I go doing that, I'm going to show you the last couple of other tricks. Now, you can actually show it so you can turn off level 2 and you can actually have a floor plan of level 1. Again, I've got my floors on this one. If I paste it, I should be able to paste them on this one as well. Yeah, there we go. So you can actually use the visibility tools here. So if I turn off roofs and turn off ceilings, I can see the floor plan on the 3D. I can take screenshots of this to show to the customer. Now, it could be that you want to show it with some different material sections on there as well. So I'm going to go to my textures. I'm going to go to that roof one again. I'm going to click on roof, and I'm actually going to click on texture, and I'm going to scroll down until I get to Redland 50 double. There we go. I know I need to change the scale on this one to 3,500, so don't worry about copying me on this one. So we can change the texture of the materials being applied on there. Now just run through that again. I went to textures, went to roof, and I selected, in this case, a Redland 50 double. Now, not every texture file is the same size. Some are bigger, some are smaller. So sometimes you have to change that scale factor here to make it fit. Now, if I was to use that default one here, 1000, go to the 3D preview, you'll see it's very, very small. It's too small. Hence why under the textures, you need to increase it. Now, I found that 3,500 on that one works. So you can just play with that trial and error until it works for you. Now, another thing that we can change on here for showing to, say, prospective customers. Now, I did show it before when you could draw in some bits of our landscaping works. That show up on the drawing, such as block paving, tarmac drive, and such. What we're going to do is go to the non-estimate 3D symbols again, and we're going to go to 3D architectural symbols. This one allows us to look at a library of different elements that we can place on the drawing. And just for a little bit fancy, it's not going to do a porch or anything like that. You can do a porch. I might just put a bit of lighting on there and go external wall lantern. Height to the bottom of lantern. So that basically means it's bottom of the lantern's 1.75 meters off the ground. Insert as, put an entitled layer, doesn't matter. I can put this little item on the drawing just here as a symbol, but that places. Now if I look at my 3D, place a little lantern on there. Now I have a front door lantern. Something simple. I could make it bigger. But leave it as that. And I can place many other objects in here as well. I can go to tables. Table with 4 chairs. So diameter, say 1400. Let's make it 450. There we go. A bit bigger. Insert as. Oof, that's a bit big actually to go in there. So what I do is I'll go back to that one. Leave it back as 900. See how that goes. Ah, that's because it's still got the scale of 2 to 2. Right, okay. I need to go to 1 to 1. There you go, that's the scale it should be. And then that's a tiny table then actually. So back to there. I will make that 1250. Probably a bit small for a dining room, but okay, see how we get there. Now, there is material available from the skills boot camps that show you how to do kitchen units. That'd be worthwhile looking at. But for today, since it's not doing that, we're just going to look at some basic symbols such as sofas. We can change color of these items. So we can have some horrifically colored furniture going into this living room. We start placing them on the 3D so people can get an idea of how it works. And because they show up as 2D and 3D, you can use that to indicate the style of the room as well. Sometimes you can use these as a way to indicate the purpose of the room better than you would do with, say, a label. Now, a landing or hall, might just need a bit of a label on them. Sometimes a WC or a cupboard might need some indication or utility, but you can mark out things like offices, kitchens, dining rooms, such with, say, non-estimated 3D symbols just to show the purpose of the room. Because you've got all, say, baths, bedroom items in there, grab a king size bed. Drop that in there. And that'll all show up on 3D. Now, I'm going to close this up soon now, so I'm going to go to my 3D preview. look at my view there. I could take a view from that side there. Might take a view from both. Take a view from there. I'm going to set my background color to be white. Now, that might mean I lose some detail on something, so it's not always the best color to go for, but also one of the reasons why I like to go for the slightly off color guttering. Sometimes having different shades can help show what's on the page better than others. But I'm going to go for white, and then I'm going to click on this little Save as Image button. I'm going to call this front view. Save that. I'm going to come around, hit save. Save this as rear view. What I'm going to do then, I'm going to go back to my much more recent drawing, my new build house with all the other gubbins on. I'm going to go to my drawing annotation, and I'm going to click on image. I'm actually going to grab the views that I just created and place them on the page. So I can work across several drawings. Okay, any questions? Nope, no questions there. Okay, well, I'm going to wrap it up there. Say, feel free to contact us with any additional questions on some things got there. The recording should be available by the end of today. If you want to see anything in particular, please just let me know. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.